where would we be? How would we start our day without a little corruption, a little lie, a little deception, a little, hey, watch who you're talking to out there. There seems to be a lot of negative controversy around us, so maybe it'd be best just to shh. Well, there's a problem with that, because when you ask the question, oh, no, he didn't. Actually, oh, yes, he did. Merrick Garland may have just made a career-ending mistake. Some would call it a career-limiting move. What is it? Did you hear about it? Oh, one little memo is all it takes to show you, man, there's something behind the scenes going on that's really, really bad or really, really good, depending on what side of the aisle you're standing on, I guess. Now, before we get to that story, if you haven't subscribed to the channel here, I'm certainly hoping you take just a few minutes to do that. It means the world to me. This channel has grown exponentially quicker every day, and that is because of you, because of your comments, because of your shares, because those of you that have joined as members to continue to help support me to bring you this news. And for each of you that have gone to Restricted Republic, if you haven't yet, you don't know what you're missing. Broadcast. So we could start here. Mike Davis, you see over on the right-hand side, former chief counsel for nominations, U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary, law clerk Justice Gorsuch. What did he say? Attorney Merrick Garland just sent out a message to everyone at the Justice Department ordering no one may contact Congress. His source? Congress. Why didn't he order a similar gag on the inappropriate and illegal Justice Department leaks to the media? Well, I think many of us know the answer to that, because there is nothing happening in Washington right now that is not partisan. And I'm not claiming it hasn't been that way for a long, long time, because it certainly has been. My former boss, Chuck Grassley, the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee, may have strong words for Garland, and Grassley has been a strong champion for whistleblowers, which he has been. Grassley being so outspoken, yet the only one speaking up for anything right now. There's a couple, don't mean to exclude anyone. So what is this all about? Well, it's about this memorandum, to be very specific. From the Attorney General, signed Merrick Garland, communication with Congress, August 30th, 2022. In light of the confirmation earlier this month as Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Legislative Affairs, this is an appropriate time to reaffirm and remind all department personnel of our existing policies regarding communications between the Justice Department and Congress. The policy can be found in Justice Manual 1-8.000, may be supplemented from time to time with more specific directions for particular components. An appropriate time to reaffirm and remind all department personnel of our existing policies regarding communications between the Justice Department and Congress. Like the policies regarding communications with the White House, these policies are designed, of course, to protect, well, us, to protect our criminal and civil, being them, not us, trust me, to protect our criminal and civil law enforcement decisions and our legal judgments from partisan or other inappropriate influences, whether real or perceived, direct or indirect. Memorandum from Attorney General, Department of Justice, communications with the White House. They also designed to ensure that Congress may carry out its legitimate investigatory and oversight functions. Now let's just zoom that in a little bit more. Makes clear nothing in these policies is intended to conflict with or limit whistleblower protections. Wow, so now Merrick Garland's told you a little bit more of the story. You know, nothing's here to stop whistleblowers. However, let me remind you of the rules surrounding who you should talk to in Congress to ensure that there's no partisan influence. And I love the words that he picked. Real, whether real or perceived, direct or indirect. Well, Merrick, you see, people in the past have gotten in a lot of trouble for statements exactly like that. As innocent and as highfalutin as they may appear, because, of course, everybody in Washington knows more than you and I. They're just, there to represent us. But how foolish of a thought process is that nowadays? You may have violated 5 U.S.C. 7211, employees' right to petition Congress. But actually, let's give you some case law here, shall we? May 3rd, 2017, the Honorable Ben Carson, Secretary, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, coming out of the Congress of the United States. And what did it state? HUD officials instructed Mr. Begaud not to communicate with the committees directly, even though he was willing to speak with the committees. I love government documents. They're absolutely ridiculous. The Government Accountability Office found in this case in violation of Section 713. We'll get there. So you really can't tell federal employees not to talk with Congress. It's against the rules, but you'd think that the Attorney General would know that, so I'm sure there's some modification in the law that's been made. So here's the Government Accountability Office, April 5th, 2016, one of the reports on such a similar event. Under Section 713 of the Financial Services and General Government Appropriations Act, 2012, HUD's appropriation was not available to pay the salary of a federal employee or federal officer or employee with a member committee or subcommittee of Congress. Therefore, HUD's appropriation was not available to pay the salaries of the General Deputy Assistant Secretary and Associate General Counsel while they prevented or attempted to prevent the regional director from being interviewed. Ouch. Garland, that will hurt, huh? Will you work for free? Who else worked for free? Never mind. No, let's get back to the point because I could tell you that would be a resounding no. Let me drop myself out of the way here. At the bottom, by the committees, HUD should consider these salary payments improper and seek to recover the payments from said employee. I gotta love this stuff. If so, then HUD's appropriation was unavailable to pay the salaries of those persons who prohibited or prevented or attempted or threatened to prohibit or prevent such communications. I love case law. It's such a wonderful thing, isn't it? I know it's not technically case law. I'm using the wrong term. But nonetheless, the Government Accountability Office, meant to be completely nonpartisan, deemed that action, well, as they say, not part of the appropriation contained in this or any other act shall be available for the payment of salary of any officer or employee of the federal government who prohibits or prevents or attempts or threatens to prohibit or prevent anyone speaking to Congress because they have to do their job. Of course, they haven't done their job in a long time, but that's besides the point. Members of Congress also raised concern that the executive orders would foreclose an important source of information from Congress. Why would we want to give any of those nasty Republicans information about things that we may be doing wrong right now, which are so incendiary it has most of the United States of America up in arms? But let's put that aside. Congress expressed many of these same concerns during the debate surrounding whistleblowers' provision of Civil Service Reforms Act. Oh, man, this was surrounding whistleblowers also. It appears in the government right now, a lot of whistleblowers are coming out, and it appears the government's not very happy about that because, those whistleblowers are actually giving the American public, the information that they knew was there all along. Well, it appears to, call them what you will, don't appreciate that very much. No, they just want to make sure that us Americans out here are uninformed about everything. And we're staying blind so that they can continue to just take the Constitution nicely and peacefully and shred it into little pieces and use it for kindling in their fire. Federal employees are often a source of information about agency operations suppressed by their superiors. Well, that would put Garland as the top superior for that department, right? Chris Wray, let's keep the list going here. Since they are much closer to the actual working situation of top agency officials, you mean the ones who actually do the work, not the ones who give political talking points and shut down the media and just make sure everything's silent. Make sure everybody's going this way when we're actually going that way. But I digress, because it's a violation of a couple laws. You can't stop people from talking to Congress, Merrick Garland. You know that. Of course, again, you'll come up with some hoity-toity fancy legal explanation as to why that's not what I meant. Because that's all you guys do lately. It's so bad now that people within the FBI, Garland and Wray, are actually calling for Wray to step down. Allegations of political bias, widespread and misconduct prompt FBI agents to call for Wray to step down, basically saying he's lost control of the agency. I think that statement may be a little short-sighted. I think he knows exactly what he's lost control of. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? I know. Hopefully some of you are Monty Python fans out there. Because, we're doing everything appropriate. We'll just neatly line up top secret documents that we say shouldn't be where they are and shouldn't be shared with anybody outside of the archives. But we'll go ahead and line them up for the public to see, just so we could prove our point that we did find stuff at Mar-a-Lago. Wow. That is an amazing display of how they maneuver and use the mainstream media to paint the picture to the American public about what they're doing. When Garland, just a few weeks ago, said it's really no business of the American public what we're doing, we'll just settle it in court because we're doing everything appropriately. But it appears somebody may be panicking a bit. And if we can't beat you on legitimacy, and we can't beat you on a moral compass, then we'll just name call you. But if you do it to them, you'll be labeled a racist. You'll be shut down. You'll be silenced. You'll be called every name in the book. Because what's good for the goose, well, it's not good for the gander in this world of political bias. And Merrick, Garland, I hope they finally kiss your paycheck goodbye, because that should be what they do. But of course, we all know nowadays who will be the voice that will make sure that happens outside of Grassley. Let's hope some others finally get the fortitude to actually do their job. And that's for every House of Representative member and every senator out there who isn't doing anything right now. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.